Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She caught me at the door with that bright, bubbling voice that always made me lower my guard. I got it, Erin said, holding her phone like a trophy. The marketing coordinator job at Landmark. Full benefits. Real salary. Finally, I dropped my lunch bag on the counter. About time they noticed, I told her. This is good. Good. She spun once in her socks. It's the first step. I'm not stuck anymore. I smiled, because you're supposed to smile. I hugged her and felt her half-hug back, already moving to the fridge, already texting someone. I didn't clock it as a warning. I thought we were a team. If I'd known where that excitement was headed, I would have written the date on the wall like a fire code. The first week, she talked about the office like it was a sitcom. New boss named Rowan, big energy, big plans. Open plan floor, cold brew on tap, dogs on Fridays. I nodded through it, cooked dinner, cleaned up, listened. Then she started staying late. Campaign launch. She tossed over her shoulder one Tuesday, keys in hand. He needs me. Who's he? I asked. Rowan, she said, with a shrug that made me feel like a substitute teacher. Don't wait up. I'll plate yours. I tried. Don't. She didn't look at me. I might grab a salad there. I watched her back out of the driveway and told myself it was just the ramp up. New job energy. She'd settle. We'd balance. That's what adults do. 2 weeks later, I stopped lying to myself. I caught her in the morning, coffee steaming, her bag already by the door. We need a shared calendar, I told her. If you're working late, I'm planning around it instead of guessing. No drama. Just clarity. She blew on her mug like it was an argument. Micromanaging already? It's logistics. You don't see me telling you how to run a crew, she countered, sliding past to the sink. I set the mug down so quietly the ceramic barely tapped. If you're gone, I don't cook for two. If you're out Saturdays, I don't schedule us to see my dad and leave him waiting. Calendar. Or I'll assume I'm solo and plan my life accordingly. She smirked without humor. Plan away. Done, I said. And I won't wait dinner anymore. She rolled her eyes and checked her phone. Rowan's calling. He's intense. You'd like him if you met him. I didn't answer. I imported a blank calendar and labeled it Us. I sent her the invite. I didn't see a single block filled by her hand for the rest of the month. At the first cookout of summer, our neighbor Rick flipped burgers and told the usual jokes. Aaron stood with his wife on the deck, phone glued to her palm, laughing too loudly at something on the screen. When she finally drifted over with a plate, she brushed my shoulder like I was a chair in her way. Eat, I told her, setting out the coleslaw. You had breakfast at 7. I had something at work, she replied, a little too bright. Rowan ordered for the team. He's thoughtful like that. Must be nice, Rick chimed in, salt gray beard and diplomat's grin. My boss thinks pizza is a raise. Aaron laughed. Rowan's different. He actually invests in people. Great, I said, and dipped a chip. Maybe he'll invest in our laundry basket next. She blinked, then smiled with that razor edge. Someone's sensitive. I'm accurate, I told her. We have a home. It needs 2 sets of hands. If your hours shifted, the chores shift too. I can take more. But there's a limit. She lifted her chin. I work a real job now, Dan. I can't be everything. I'm asking you to be a partner, I said. We'll list tasks Sunday night. We'll split them. Commitments only. If you blow yours off, I'm not picking them up. It'll just sit. Rick cleared his throat like smoke caught wrong. Aaron stabbed her fork into lettuce. So now you'll weaponize dishes, she said. I'll stop doing your part, I replied. We match effort. She turned away mid-chew. We'll talk later. We will, I agreed, and let it hang until the end of the night, because I wanted witnesses to understand I didn't bark. I set a boundary and kept grilling. Back home, I wrote out the list on a legal pad and slid it across the table. Aaron stared at it as if I'd left a bill. Put your name where you can deliver, I told her. She scribbled her initials on 2 easy lines, plants and mail, and pushed it back. Happy. If you do them, I said. She stood. I'm taking a bath. Put your time on the calendar if you're staying late tomorrow, I added. I have a tool pickup after work. I can't sit around. She paused. You make everything sound like a court order. It's a plan, I said. It saves us from fights we don't need. She was gone before the water ran. I looked at the list, circled what I'd cover, and ordered a second laundry hamper, because I knew what was coming. The first charm offensive hit 3 days after I canceled our weekly taco night with her sister on the shared chat, right after Erin blew off her mail and plant duty for 5 days straight. I typed, "We'll skip this week. Erin's schedule is unpredictable. I won't commit us when we can't show." Her sister responded with a thumbs up. Erin didn't reply. That night, she came home at 8 with a paper bag and that old smile reattached. "Brought your favorite," she announced, setting cartons on the counter. "I know I've been scarce. Sorry. New rhythm and all. I wanted to fix it." I leaned on the island and watched her unpack. "Thanks." She looked up, testing. "You're not mad." "I'm not 5, I told her. I said what I needed. You heard me." She moved closer, hip to the cabinet. "I miss this," she said softly. "Us." "Do you miss me?" I asked, or the quiet when I stopped asking for basic respect. She slackened a smile that wasn't real, then lifted noodles to my plate. "Eat while it's warm." I ate. I let her sit close and tell stories about drafting copy for a recycled yogurt campaign and how Rowan said her voice was refreshing. I nodded, made eye contact, did the whole husband routine. She relaxed, folded into my side on the couch for a show I didn't care about, and drifted off before the first commercial. I covered her with a throw and looked at the shared calendar. Still blank. The noodles were the apology. The behavior wasn't changing. The next week, I ended the on-call chauffeur role that somehow had found me. Erin texted at 11:10 p.m., "Can you swing by and grab me? My rideshare is slow, and I'm wiped." I was mid-shower after sanding cabinets. I walked out, dried my hands, and replied, "Not tonight. I'm off duty after 10. Keys are in your bag. Plan accordingly." She came in at midnight with that look like I'd left her at a truck stop. "Really?" "Really," I answered. "I get up at 5. I'm not driving crosstown at midnight because you forgot it was Wednesday. You're an adult. Handle it." "You used to be more supportive," she said. "I used to have a teammate," I countered. "Now I have a roommate who schedules me like staff. That ends now." She walked past me with a laugh that wanted to be cruel. "You're dramatic." "Calendar," I said. "List. Or live with my default." I planned for one. At Laura's birthday, the friend with the too loud laugh and tiny backyard, Erin found a new gear. Laura hugged me, smelled like hairspray, and shouted, "You two made it." "I never see you, Erin. Work owns me." Erin replied, grinning. "Our fearless leader loves a deadline, and I'm the only one who can keep up." "At what cost?" Laura teased. Erin shot me a sidelong glance. "Someone at home is learning to fend for himself." 2 women snorted. I set Laura's gift on the cooler and met Erin's eyes. "Someone at home is learning to stop covering for another person's choices," I told the group. "It's educational." Laura went still. Erin's mouth twitched. "He's touchy," she told Laura. I looked at Laura, not Erin. "I'm not touchy. I'm precise. She's missed 5 dinners without a text." I adjusted. "If you ever need a cabinet built, call me. If you need someone to babysit your grown friend so she doesn't stay out past 12, I'm not applying." Laura nodded slowly. Erin focused on her drink, cheeks tight. The women scattered. Erin walked to the fence and stared at a neighbor's hammock like it held answers. "You had to do that here?" she asked without looking. "I had to tell the truth where you were rewriting it," I replied. "Rowan respects hustle," she said. "You clearly don't." "He can keep it," I told her. "But he doesn't get my time or my peace. Those stay with me." She blew air out her nose. "We'll talk later." "We will," I agreed. "And I'm moving my things into the guest room tonight. My sleep is not a community project." She choked out a laugh. "You're ridiculous." "I'm serious," I said. "I need rest. I cannot manage a home, a job, and a ghost." Guest room. Effective immediately. That night, I carried my pillow and a plastic bin down the hall. She watched from the doorway, arms crossed like a TSA agent. "You think this is pressure?" "I think it's clarity," I said. "Wake up whenever. Come in whenever. I'm not rearranging my life around guesswork." The following morning, she left early and texted a photo of her desk around noon with the caption, "Grinding. Launch coming." 2 hours later, another, "Team coffee with Rowan. He's pushing us hard, but it'll pay off." I replied with a thumbs up. I boxed up the rest of my tools from the garage and organized the shelves because those were things I could control. At 5, I prepped dinner for 1. 3 nights later came the second charm offensive. She skipped the late shift, showed up at 6, and walked into the guest room with a towel over her shoulder and a smile that looked like a concession speech. "Can we reset?" she asked, leaning on the doorframe. "I'm trying. I know I've been off. I can stay home tonight. We could order something and just be. I miss your routine. It calms me down." I assessed the offer and the timing. I'd just shut off her access to my auto-pay accounts and moved our joint savings into a holding account with 2 signatures required for withdrawals. I'd reorganized my Saturdays so I wasn't hovering for her to appear. She could feel the shift. "I believe you miss the ease," I told her. "I don't think you miss me." "That's unfair," she said softly. "It's accurate," I answered and lifted a brow. "You're welcome to sit with me. But I'm not moving back down the hall because you had a pang." She walked in, sat on the end of the bed like a student in detention. "I'll put my schedule on that calendar," she offered. "Do it for a week," I said. "Then we'll revisit." She nodded. She added 3 blocks for the next 2 days: team lunch, Rowan one-on-one, launch. I watched her type and pretended that meant something beyond optics. On Friday, she texted at 4, "Working late." "Don't wait." I put chicken on the grill anyway and told myself I wasn't going to drive anywhere. I wasn't going to call. I poured a glass of tap water and ate on the back steps, watching the neighbor's oak drop tiny leaves like confetti for a parade I hadn't been invited to. The following Wednesday is the day the switch flipped. She sent the usual line at 5:42 p.m. "Hey, don't hold dinner." He asked me to stay. Big deliverable. "I'll be late." "Sorry, babe." I looked at the phone, then at the pan on the stove. I turned the heat off and put the lid on. I packed a second portion into a container. I took my keys and drove to Landmark, because curiosity is a better fuel than doubt, and you can't argue with concrete. Their building sits on a corner in a part of town that turns into a field of empty asphalt after 6. I parked, walked to the lobby, nodded at the guard, a man in his 50s with the posture of someone who'd spent years on his feet and didn't complain about it. "Evening," I said. "My wife's upstairs. I'm dropping off dinner." He blinked, glanced at the directory, even though no one does that. "What's her name?" "Erin Carter." He made a phone gesture. "You can text her. They clear out around 5:30 most nights." I checked the digital clock behind him. 6:12 p.m. She said she was working late. He squinted like he was deciding whether to be human or corporate. He leaned closer. "I've seen her," he said quietly. "She left early today. Around lunch." "With who?" I asked, because sometimes you ask plain. He held my eye too long to be comfortable. "Guy in a blue blazer who parks out back. Happened before." My mouth did nothing. My hands did nothing. I looked at the elevator and then at the guard. "So the office is empty." He nodded once. "Has been for a while." "Appreciate it," I told him. I set the container on the counter because I needed my hands free of it. "Hungry?" He tilted his head. "My break's at 7. "Take it then," I said, turned, and walked out into the evening that was too quiet. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't drive around looking for a sedan with tinted windows and my wife in the passenger seat. I went home and opened my laptop. I booked a consultation slot with a mediator for the next morning. I inventory listed the house and took pictures of serial numbers because adults keep receipts. I moved the title of my truck into a trust my uncle had told me to set up 5 years ago and I'd been lazy about. I closed the joint credit card to new charges and sent Erin a polite email. For budget clarity, I'm pausing shared discretionary spending until we realign. Essentials continue as usual. I wasn't yelling. I was moving the pieces I could control. At 9, Erin texted, "Heading home. Don't wait up." I typed nothing. I slept in the guest room, phone on Do Not Disturb, like a man wrapping up a job site for the night. The next day, I showed the mediator my bullet points and kept my voice even. He asked why. I said, "I'm not getting what I need, and I have reason to believe the situation won't change." He nodded like he'd heard every version of that line under the sun. We talked about timelines. I left with a folder and a number. That afternoon, I stopped by my buddy Walt's shop, a garage where he rebuilds motorcycles and dispenses advice no one asks for. Walt is barrel-chested, bald by choice, and allergic to pity. "You look like a man who made a decision," he said, wiping grease on a towel. "I did," I told him. "I'm not announcing it yet." He tapped the counter. "What's your move?" "Quiet," I said. "Complete. I'll be out before she even figures out there was a plan." "Need a spare room?" he offered. "I might," I said. "For a week." Keys are in the drawer, he said, and meant it. You want me to keep my mouth shut? Exactly, I replied. He nodded. I'll also say this once. You're not crazy. I know, I said. I just prefer my evidence straight. I went home and set up a mailbox at the UPS store 2 miles away. I redirected my personal mail. I pulled my passport and birth certificate and put them in my work bag. I took photos off the wall that were mine before Aaron and wrapped them in towels. I put my wedding ring in my pocket instead of on my finger. Not dramatic. Practical. Aaron turned up that evening with a bottle of cheap red and a head tilt that said she'd read a blog post about reconnecting with your partner. Truce? She asked, lifting the bottle. It's been tense. I stepped aside. What's the occasion? I just want to be close, she said, breezing into the kitchen. You've been distant. I thought maybe we could hit pause on the rules for one night. Which rules bother you? I asked, leaning against the fridge. The calendar. The chores. The separate bed. The tone. She listed, as if she were ordering a sandwich. The rules keep me from resenting you, I told her. And the bed stays as is until I trust you again. Trust me. She gave me that wounded bird face. For what? For showing up where you say you'll be, I answered. For not spinning me in circles. For keeping your word more than a day. She poured, put on music low. Can we just try? She asked in a voice that used to break me. We can sit, I said. We can talk. We can be civil. That's what I have. She walked around behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist like we were posing for a picture. I miss your back, she whispered. I miss our honesty, I replied. She laughed once, very small. You're impossible, Dan. I'm consistent, I told her. We ate. She leaned her head on my shoulder at a commercial like she'd been trained to do. I didn't push her away. I also didn't move rooms when the credits rolled. She kissed my cheek and asked if I wanted company in bed. I shook my head. She retreated, eyes flat. The next afternoon, she texted from the office at 5:08 p.m., running long. Rowan asked me to stay. Big push. Be home late. I looked at those words and saw not text but a pattern. I typed back. I hope it was worth our marriage. The typing bubble appeared. Paused. Returned. What do you mean? I can't do my job now? I'm doing this for us. For us? I sent. Ended 2 nights ago at Landmark's front desk. I won't explain further over text. There was a beat. Then, I'm coming home. Don't rush on my account, I sent. She must have hit the stairwell running. 20 minutes later, my driveway lit up. She came through the side door fast like a storm sliding under a gap. What's this? She demanded, eyes darting to the 2 suitcases open on the guest bed, the stacks of shirts, the empty ring dish on my nightstand. What are you doing? Packing, I said, folding a shirt into the suitcase. I'll be out tonight. You're leaving me because I work? She barked, voice bright and brittle. Are you hearing yourself? I'm leaving because you're living a second life on my time and telling me it's over time, I replied. I went to the office last night. It was closed. The guard knows your routine better than I do. You went to my job? She threw a hand toward the hall. That's not okay. That's me dropping off dinner. I cut in. You weren't there. You haven't been there. That's the truth you asked for. She shook her head hard. You're paranoid. I was with the team off-site. With Rowan, I said evenly. She scoffed. You don't even know him. I don't need to, I told her. I know my line. You crossed it. I'm finished. She stepped in close, voice lowering, like whispering could reframe facts. Okay, maybe I stayed late. Maybe Rowan pushes me. That's what bosses do. But leaving? Overscheduling? That's extreme. This isn't about scheduling, I said, zipping a side pocket with 2 fingers. It's about respect. You stopped giving it. You stopped even pretending to try. You made me an option. I'm your wife, she snapped. You don't walk out on your wife. You walked out first, I answered. I'm just doing it with luggage. Her eyes went wide. Then the performance kicked in. Dan, I'm sorry. I'm just learning this role. It's demanding. I said I'd fix the calendar. You had 6 weeks, I said. You used that time to practice new lies. She put a hand to her chest. You're being cruel, she said softly. I'm being clear, I told her. I started the paperwork this morning. My mail is rerouted. I'll be at Waltz. Don't contact me unless there's something logistical. I'll handle the rest. She stared, then switched to pleading so fast it almost whiplashed. Please don't do this. I'll quit. I'll come home. We'll reset. We can go to that cabin you like. I'll cook. I'll. There it is, I said. You adjust the second you feel me step away. You'll adjust until I'm back on the hook. Then it'll be the same. I'm not interested in that loop. You're punishing me, she said, heat rising. You want to control me. I want peace, I replied. I want a home that isn't a waiting room. I'll get it with or without you. She pivoted to anger. You'll be alone, she stated like a curse. No one puts up with your rules. Someone who respects themselves will respect me, I said. That's the whole point. She tried one more angle, dropping her shoulders, letting her voice fray. I messed up. Don't throw it all away. You already did, I answered. I took my ring out of my pocket and set it on the floor by the bedroom door, where her heel would see it if not feel it. You can keep the calendar. You might need it. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't, I told her. You lost access. Dan, she said, and now it was panic. Please. I closed the suitcase and lifted it. You'll get an email with details. The house is in my name. You'll have time to move. Don't force me to accelerate that. You can't just. I can, I said. And I am. I walked past her, down the hall I'd painted last March while she sent me photos of dogs at the office. I carried my bag into the garage and set it in the truck. Erin followed to the door, hands useless at her sides. You're overreacting, she tried. This is a bump. No, I replied, opening the driver's door. This is the end. She stood there, shaking her head like refusal could rewind a tape. I got in, started the engine, and pulled out without looking back. I don't do dramatic stares in rearview mirrors. I do exits. At Walt's, he looked at the suitcase and didn't ask dumb questions. He pointed to the back room. Bed's made. Shower works if you don't mind one temperature. What temperature? I asked. Water, he said. Pick from the two settings, on or off. He ordered a pizza and put on a baseball game. We didn't talk about feelings. We watched a guy strike out and another guy make a catch running into a wall. Walt handed me a soda and clinked his against it. To clean cuts, he said. To clean cuts, I repeated. The next morning, Erin texted 12 times between 8 and 10. Apologies, explanations, promises. Then she tried steaks. If you blow up my life over this, that's on you. You showed up at my work and made it weird. You scared the guard. If I lose my job, it's because you couldn't handle me being successful. I blocked her number and emailed her instead, for logistics only. Please send me 3-time windows to pick up your things next week. She replied with a novel. I didn't read it. By Wednesday, the office rumors had outrun her. Laura texted me. I heard something. Erin, okay. I wrote back, handle it with her. Rick stepped into his driveway when I got home to grab mail and raised his eyebrows. You two all right? We'll land, I told him and walked inside. Friday afternoon, a message slid into my inbox from a neutral work account Erin created for clarity. They let me go, she wrote, stripped of her perfume. There's talk. It's not fair. If you hadn't shown up there, none of this would have happened. I closed the laptop and stood in my quiet kitchen. The house sounded like itself again. Air vent hum, fridge click. I washed a single glass and left it to dry on the rack. I didn't answer her. The paperwork moved like a river downhill. She argued through forms, tried to wiggle into assets she hadn't contributed to, tried a sad paragraph about shared lifestyle. The mediator kept it neat. The house was mine before, it stayed mine. The truck, too. The savings were separate. We had no kids, no joint debt outside that close card. The final email came fast enough to feel like a clerical error. It wasn't. It was just simple math. She left with what she brought, which was less than she thought. She moved out on a Wednesday while I arranged deliveries at work. Walt sat on my porch with a magazine while the movers carried boxes. He told me later she kept asking if I'd stop by to talk like adults. He didn't laugh in her face. He just said, "Nope, he's busy. I'm living alone now in the house I paid for, sleeping like a person who manages his own time. The guest room is back to being a guest room. The dishwasher runs every third day. Saturdays are mine in full. I keep my truck clean because there's no debate about where I had to be at dawn or midnight. The mailbox at the UPS store is almost empty now. I'll cancel it next month." I fixed the back fence on a Sunday, and Rick wandered over with a beer, held up like a neighborly flag. "Look straight," he said. "Only took me an afternoon without sirens," I told him. "I'm not collecting new hearts like a hobby." A woman named Jamie from the lumber yard asked me if I wanted to see a local band sometime. I told her I might. She laughed and said, "That's the most honest answer I've heard. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just go home and put my feet up and think about nothing. It's nice to have the option." Erin sent me one last message from a new number before the block caught up. "You ruined everything," she wrote, "because it's easier to blame the witness than the act. I hope you're happy." I didn't reply. I poured coffee into a travel mug and took the long way to a job site because I could. Later, I pulled the ring out of the drawer where I keep old keys and unscrewed odds and ends. It's a small, shiny circle that doesn't mean anything now. I don't keep relics on altars. I keep them in plastic bins, labeled and placed, so my life runs. People think power is shouting. It isn't. Power is a quiet schedule and a locked door you own. Power is walking when someone starts selling you fog and calling it weather. I tried to meet Erin with patience. She met me with tricks. I drew lines. She crossed them. I didn't slam a gate. I just left it behind. When I drive by Landmark now, I see a lobby with a different guard and a plant that needs watering. Erin's not in there. From what I hear, Rowan moved on to a fresh project, and someone new who thinks their phone lighting up at midnight is romance. It's not my problem. I'm not in that building. I get up at 5 by choice. I make eggs. I fix what's broken. I don't wait for apologies that are just bait. If Jamie calls, I'll answer. If she doesn't, I'll go for a drive on the old state road and listen to the engine. Either way, no one's running a second life on my time. Either way, I'm good. And not the fake kind. Just the regular kind where your calendar